Yo,
My guy, what's good, Jay?
what's going on, man?
Chilling, man. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this. For
Yeah,
real.
thanks for having me, man. Sorry, just a few minutes late. I'm always complaining about rappers being late and stuff, and then and I'm late. But yeah, man, I'm glad to be here, man. Looking forward to chopping it up with you.
For real, man. So definitely all good, man. It's cool to, just be able to talk to people. And this is gonna be a dope episode because just as we're talking, I'm gonna be learning so much. So I can't wait, man. But let's get right into it. Welcome everybody to episode 9 of Soul Chat. We have VA's own J Clyde, aka Loopa Doncic. What's going on, sir?
Man, good to be here, man. Appreciate it. Just trying to make as much music as I can and fighting a good fight, man.
For real, man. I hear that. So let's just jump into the beginning. Like where did the love for music in general come from?
Um, that's a good question because I didn't come from like a musical family. Um, my family was more like into athletics and other things, but music was not a big thing in my household. Like growing up as a kid, like I mean, my dad had he had like the requisite records for somebody his age, but it wasn't like a large collection of records. And I had an uncle that is a really great guitar player, but he was on the West Coast, so he wasn't really around. Um, I don't know. I guess I do remember like at a young age seeing DJs on TV, whether it be like the Herbie Hancock video with Grand Mixer D.S.T. or Jazzy Jeff on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, or um, I don't know, just certain shows that have DJs on, and I was always fascinated with turntables and all of that. So and then just hearing like hip hop for the first time, it just moved me in a certain way. Like there was a time in my life when I was as a kid, from the time I was born to like probably like 9, 10 years old, where I was listening to rock music, and that's all I listened to. It was like Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Smashing Pumpkins, Alice in Chains, like the grunge, like early 90s
Yeah.
stuff. And then, let me see, I borrowed um, Black Sunday by Cypress Hill and Doggy Style from a neighbor of mine. And I listened to those. I listened to those like crazy.
Right.
And then I kind of like the first CD I ever bought with my own money was Craig Mack Project Funk the World, because Flavor in the Ear was like the illest beat of all time.
Right.
And from that point on, well, actually, and then my older cousin Joey introduced me to Wu-Tang when I was like 12 or 13.
Mm.
And from like that time on, it's like nothing but hip hop. Like that's kind of like solidified it. So you could say, I mean, it wasn't anything that I could pinpoint as far as like an event that happened in my life, but it just the music just moved me in that way.
Right. I mean, like Doggy Style is definitely an album to get, you know what I mean, to introduce you to hip hop. And
Well,
then
not to say that wasn't like the first hip hop I had ever heard, but that was like when I really started like digesting it and like analyzing things, and um, really started to have more of an appreciation for it.
right.
I remember, I mean, when I was, I think I might have been like 6 years old. My mom's cousin, who was a Mexican girl, came to visit us in Virginia for like 2 weeks or something. And she was, at the time, I think she was like 13 or 14, and she had the Vanilla Ice tape. And and I was like 5 or 6 years old, and she would play it while we were just hanging out or cleaning up the house or whatever. and I was like mesmerized by that. And like at the end of her trip, um, I had this like this is like 89, probably 88, 89. I had this acid wash jean jacket that she really liked it. She wanted it and it fit her because I was only like 5 years old. And she traded me the tape for my jacket. And so that was like the first hip hop that I, listened to, like, um, but yeah, but that.
Oh man. So with all producers, there's always that moment of a switch,
Mm-hmm.
right? We love rap, we love hip hop, we love the culture, everything. But there's always that moment where we go from like listening to it just in terms of the song or whatever, and then listening to it in terms of the beat. Do you remember when that moment came for you where you were just like, yo, wait a minute, this beat is crazy. The song was cool, but this beat though, like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was two things. So, 36 Chambers came out before Craig Mack, but I didn't hear it. And so, you know what I mean? So, like, when Flavor in Your Ear came out and I heard that beat, that was like a life-changing moment for me. And I still love that beat now. I don't know how many times I've listened to it. And then, like I said, when my older cousin introduced me to Wu-Tang and I heard that 36 Chambers, like, that was the first time I heard an album that was like a movie, like from start to finish, and that really changed everything for me, for sure.
So when it happened for you where you were just like, you know what, like, I'm gonna try making these beats. Like, these dudes are rapping over these crazy beats, and I'm just like, how are they making those beats? I need to learn how to do that.
Well, I was DJing first, so
Oh,
yeah. So I started DJing when I was probably like 15, when I got my first turntables, and so that was kind of like the dream initially. Like, I wanted to be like DJ Law, who was kind of like the Funk Master Flex of the 757. And this is back when DJs used to actually mix on the air and have like live mix shows. And this is like the Stretch and Bobbito era where you could play like the grimy B sides for like an hour at a time on commercial radio. It was insane. And so I wanted to do that. And so I did that from by the time I was 15 until like maybe my second year of college. And then I started to figure out, like, to be on radio like that, it's first of all, it's not that easy. Like, you kind of got to like know the right people, and it's very hard jobs to get.
yeah.
And they're gonna make you're gonna have to play clubs like 3-4 nights a week. And like I didn't want to do that. Like, I can't stand playing music that I don't like for like 4 hours in a row. I just didn't want to do it. And so I still DJ now, but it's kind of like on my own terms, sort of. But I still practice or whatever. But then so a friend of mine that I went to school with, he was making beats on Fruity Loops, like the first version of it. And I knew that, like, I'd gone over to his house and seen him do it, and he was a DJ friend of mine. So we had a lot of things in common musically, and so he showed me the program and kind of how it worked. And right around the same time, the Blueprint 2 came out, and the Blueprint came out, and then and that album made me really want to like make beats. It kind of inspired me to, like, okay, this DJ thing is cool, but like I can do this. I have I have records, and that album sort of changed a lot of things for production. I think that they're still going on now, but
Right.
that was like that moment you're talking about.
That's crazy because, like, first of all, it seems like whoever started off as a DJ ends up being a dope ass producer.
Yeah.
You, Static, Maestro, you know, and countless others like Just Blaze and whoever else you want to put in, like nothing but monsters, and all started off as DJs. So I'm taking mental note. But
Yeah, you know, it's it could just make sense, you know, like you have to have that skill of being able to read a crowd and know what people are into and what they respond to. And me, I think I more dove into like the sonics of everything. Like, okay, well, um, you know, I studied guys like the RZA, and he really taught me not only what's a dope sample, but more importantly, what's not.
Right.
You know, and that, I mean, I still go back to that now. You know, like that's just a part of me. And but there's a lot of repetition in DJing, right? Like you're sitting there, you're listening to a beat for uh, you know, sometimes it could be, you know, 30 minutes at a time or something if you're trying to practice a routine or you're trying to get a mix right or you're trying to do a remix or something, you know. So you just get kind of ingrained to certain tempos, certain aspects of mixing, um, and just yeah, what works and what doesn't.
Right, definitely. Yo, shout out to everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys for joining in. See DJ Static in there, Landscape in there. I saw Kelsey join in. Shout out to y'all. If y'all have questions for J Clyde, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat or put them in the question box. Um,
Can y'all hear me all right? Everybody hear me all right?
yeah, I mean I hear you good.
All right,
So
cool.
yeah, but it's crazy.
Billy Dance was good.
It's crazy that the whole like that Rockefeller era, because me personally, like Rockefeller is what got me saying like, yo, I need to do this. That between Blueprint, Philadelphia Freeway, um,
You know, you got a
you know,
Rockefeller artist in here right now, right?
for real?
Billy Dance from MOP is in here.
Oh, nice,
Hey,
nice.
Bill, you gotta Bill, get back up with me about that joint, man. We gotta get that work in. But anyway, no, sorry, all right, finish your question.
Oh, nah, I'm just saying like that whole Rockefeller era just like bred so many producers and MCs, and they don't even realize like how much of an influence they were in like changing. I mean, some of them do. You know, maybe Jay-Z realizes that he changed the game. Maybe I'm, but but yeah, like for me personally, I know that was my inspiration into loving hip hop and loving producing specifically. Um, so now you're making beats. When do you get to the moment that you're like, you know what? Everything I'm doing sounds dope to me, sounds dope to the people around me. Maybe I should start trying to get people on these records.
You know, I think there's two of those moments. One of them was real and one of them was not real. So, you know, I think making beats is it's just like any other craft. Like I don't care who you are, like you're not gonna be very good at it for like a few years. You know what I'm saying? Like you really got to put in your 10,000 hours.
Definitely.
And but in the moment, you know, you might make something. You might make something that's okay, but you think it's amazing.
Right.
And most of your stuff is just terrible. Um, and so like after about a year, maybe 9 months to a year, I thought like, okay, like I'm getting the hang of this. Like I need a place. I need to try and get some of these beats to some of these local artists. And I mean, I still have the CD that I submitted to. I mentioned DJ Law at the radio station. God bless him, man. Like he heard some type of potential in me, but I mean, the beats were just horrendous. Like, I mean, there might have been like one or two decent ones on there, but it was just terrible. But I still had that feeling of like, okay, like I guess I'm getting good. I could hear a rapper on these or whatever. But then fast forward to, I remember distinctly it was in 2000, late 2006, early 2007. I like quit my first job after college, and I had like a 6 month span where I was like unemployed, living at home, rent free, and like all I did was get up in the morning, make beats all day and night,
Yep.
go to sleep, and do it over again. And I did that for, like I said, like 6 months straight. And that's that Kanye 5 beats a day for 3 summers. Like I did that for real. And that was a genuine one, because when I came out of that, then I got into a mode of like, okay, I can make something dope out of pretty much anything if I put my mind to it. I found a bunch of like good drum sounds. I finally like thought I had a grasp of like, it took me a while to get the right grasp of like drums and drum patterns and spacing and things like that, and placement. But after that period, I definitely had a big boost in quality and confidence. You know, that confidence is big when you can know that all I got to do is sit down and I'm probably gonna make something pretty good.
Right. And you're in Virginia, so it's like, first of all, it's in the water. Like, second of all, it's like like you got all these greats that are around you. It's like, you know, you're seeing Timberland come up and be the monster he is, Pharrell and the Neptunes being the monster they are, Bink doing his thing. Like, it's so many talented people from
Not
Knots, definitely. And they just making heat after heat after heat, and they're getting all these, not, yeah, they're getting all the placements, but it's more so like their creativity and everything that's just so different that they're bringing into hip hop. Like, for one, I know there's a sense of pride, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you have to like continue to uphold that, you know, but also at the same time, like, you're seeing all this, and now you're feeling at the moment like, you know, I'm on par a little bit, you know, like I hear what they making, I hear what I'm making, it's on par now. So like, when did it become go time for you?
Well, like, so I'm part of Better Beat Bureau, which was started by my man Disco Dave and some other DJs, and he was producing before me. He was making beats before me, and he was really a big inspiration early on, because he was the first person that I knew personally that got records placed with artists. I mean, independent artists, but his tracks got placed. He got paid for them, and they got pressed on vinyl. Right? And those songs made it to 103 Jams, which is my home radio station, and the DJs were playing those records on the air like a lot. And so that was like, whoa, like, I mean, it's one thing to see Pharrell and Tim and Teddy Riley and you know of like the legends, but when somebody that you know personally like does it, that's a like game changer for sure. And
Yeah.
and that really, I mean, I tell them this all the time, but like that was a huge inspiration to me, and kind of put the battery on my back of like, okay, like if I put the work in, I can make the connections and do this thing. And then there's other things too, like that just boost your confidence. I mean, I was with there was a time when I was maybe like 3 or 4 years in, I was working with Teamster with Knots and Daryl.
Mm.
And so I had the privilege of just going in there and sitting and watching Knots work like anytime I wanted to. And I would just sit there for hours and hours and hours and just watch. And it was amazing how I learned so much and still capitalize on the things that I learned there. But, I would play him my new stuff, and he would, he would listen to it, and sometimes give me feedback, sometimes not, but you could tell when he's feeling it and when he's not. But a lot of times, like this happened a lot, like I'd be playing something of mine, and then somebody random would just walk in the room and go up to him and be like, yo, son, this is crazy. And he'd be like, that's not me, it's him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like if you could, give somebody the Pepsi challenge and they don't know whose beat it is, and they they think it's him, but it's me. It's like, wow, like, okay.
Word, man. That's. I mean, you got someone that thinks you're making beats that is making. So that's it. I'm like, yo, I'm ready now. You know.
Yeah.
Shout out to Overlord Radio. They're in the chat. They actually have a question for you. They ask, what is your favorite equipment of all time?
Well, to be honest with you, I haven't really used that much equipment. I, like I started on the first version of Fruity Loops, but I wouldn't consider that's the opposite of equipment. Um, and then I graduated to the MPC 2000 XL, and I was on that for like 10, 12 years until the Renaissance came out.
Right.
So there's one piece of gear that's like a secret weapon that I used to use. It's kind of obsolete now because the software is caught up. But is this machine called it's the Roland VP 9000.
Mm.
And you know what that is? Do you know what it is?
I've definitely heard of it.
Yeah, it's a sampler.
Yeah.
And it's a rack mount. But like Just Blaze used to use it. Like all those Rockefeller records, they were using a VP. But what it did though was, or what I mainly used it for, was essentially the time stretching. It was like the first thing that had like seamless time stretching that you could do like on a knob. You didn't have to like process the audio or chop it into small pieces. You could just adjust the knob and it would change the tempo without changing the pitch. And that was like groundbreaking for the longest. But now, now it's easy because every program does that. But this was like the only piece of gear that had that capability at the time. I still have it, but like I said, I have no use for it now. But
They actually have another question for you. They got what was your dopest studio session?
dopest studio session. Well, some of the ones that come to mind for me were not even my sessions, but like, I would be allowed to go and see Knott's work with people, like when people were in town. So, I saw him work with like Royce and, um, man, like, the whole Duck Down crew, like Buckshot and Sean Price was in there, and um, Smith and Wesson was in there. So I got to meet all those dudes. That was one of the coolest. I got to meet all those guys and give them beats and everything. And that was around the time where they were really making their resurgence, because they were down here working with Ninth Wonder in North Carolina, and then on the way back up they came to see Knott. So that was really cool being able to be in there with them.
For real, man. How did you and D.I.T.C get connected?
Well, so let's see. So I started working with a producer named Bo McKenzie. He's one of the boss men now, but he's he was mainly an R&B producer. He plays keys, and like right now he's the musical director for like Blackstreet and like all them R&B groups that are doing their kind of like nostalgia tours now. Like he puts on those shows all over the world.
Right.
So he could play, like he's just nice on the keys. And I ended up meeting with him through some kind of just some mutual friends, and we started working together. This is around like probably 05, 06. So we started working together, but little did I know that before I was even in the picture, he had a working relationship with Lord Finesse.
Mm.
And that came about because Bo's played on a lot of people's records. For instance, I think the reason he even connected with Ness in the first place is because on Nas's double album, Streets Disciple, Buck Wild did a record called "These Are Our Heroes."
Okay.
and they couldn't clear the sample. So at the last minute, they needed somebody to replay it. I think Bo just happened to be in town, and one thing led to another. He got the call like, "Hey, we need you to come and play." So he played on this Buck Wild record, and then I think he started doing some things with Buck Wild. That turned into him meeting Finesse, and then him and Finesse really, really clicked off, and really started working together a whole lot. And so, after working with Bo for probably like a year, Lord Finesse came down because he would come down here to Virginia all the time to work and just hang out or whatever, and still does. And that's when we met. I mean, I've been knowing him since probably I think 06, probably.
Nice.
And so that was my connection into D.I.T.C. And we've been family ever since. But now it's the last few years it's officially been the three of us as the boss men, and doing that. So yeah, but yeah, through Ness.
That's what's up, man.
Mm-hmm.
Got a couple more questions for you. Sean Xavier asks, what was the one sample that gave you the most trouble creatively?
I mean, like, I don't know if there is like one, because, all right, so this is how I deal with that. Like, the answer is none, but
Right.
but not because I make dope beats out of everything. It's the reason I say none is because I don't let samples give me trouble like that. If I'm my time is limited. I got a job to work during the day, so like I only have so many hours to work on music at night, and like I cherish that time. So if I'm working on something and I can tell within probably 10 minutes if it's going to go the way I want to, or if it's not going to go the way I want to. If it's not going the way I want to, I just delete it, go find something else. I don't want to sit there for like 3 hours trying to make something good when it's just not. Like, I'll come back to it later. The sample will still be there. And 9 times out of 10, the next time I come back to it, I'll be hearing samples differently than I was before, and I'll be able to make something out of it.
Right.
But yeah, I know what he's asking, but I have a very strict rule with myself of not like trying to, not trying to force a square peg in a round hole.
Right. And that is something that producers need to realize as well. Like, not everything is gonna click right away. Like, sometimes it's good, like you said, you take a break, get rid of it, maybe come back to it at different times, sounds different, or even like sometimes the sample just ain't working the right way for you. So it's like, I'm gonna spend 2-3 hours trying to make it work, or am I just gonna try to find something else? Because like you said, your time is precious for you, and you enjoy your beat making process. You don't want to sit there and force something that's not going to happen at that moment. Not saying that it's not going to happen, but just at that moment, it's not working it.
100%.
That's what's up, man. So yeah, now it's time to get into the staple of the show. Cause quite a bit of controversy every now and then, but it's always dope. It's called Over Under.
All right.
So basically, it's overrated, underrated. I'm gonna ask you a question. You give me your opinion. It's all good. It's a close knit family here. It's your opinion. No one's gonna trash you for it because we are ones. But first question. In your opinion, who is the most overrated producer of all time, and who's the most underrated producer? We've had Swiss, we've had Dilla, not for the reason you think. We've had Dilla because so many people, the person that said it was Maestro, but the reason he gave it was because so many people use his name and don't do anything like what he does. They'll make nothing but trap beats, but then they'll ask who's your inspiration, and they'll say Dilla. So that's why he was like, that was his reasoning for saying it, which I kind of agree. You got to give some type of, homage to the guy that inspired you. If you can't even make a Dilla type beat, why say he's your inspiration?
Right.
Um, we've had OC say RZA.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which shocked me. But
Wow.
he was like, yo, I'm not giving a reason. That's just how I feel.
All right. Let me see. You know what I kind of thought was a little overrated was they had some joints, but I always thought like Heat Makers was a little bit overrated.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't, and the reason I say that is I didn't. The like little pet peeve that I had with them was like some of the drum patterns are like real like awkward sort of,
Okay. Yeah.
and it just like I don't know, it just messed with me. Um, and then but they still, I mean, when they're right, they're right. And actually that Jim Jones album that just came out maybe like a year or two ago that
Mm-hmm.
they did the whole thing on that was fire. I think it was called I forgot what it's called. It was just like a skull on the cover. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, and then underrated. I mean, there's a lot of underrated.
It's a
Um,
plethora.
ask me tomorrow, I say something totally different. But I feel like, at least for me, as far as people that influence me that I really love, like I feel like the Beat Nuts get no credit at all. Like
Heard.
those dudes are amazing, and like the stuff that they sampled was like so unorthodox, and like they brought in like a lot of like obscure, Latin records,
Right.
because their background and just man, like they're grimy. They can make grimy stuff, but also like they proved that they could make big hits on the radio with that same aesthetic. Um, I mean, yeah, like and the stuff that they've done with other people outside of the Beatnuts group, like is amazing as well. Like it does stuff with Ghostface and Big Pun and a lot of people.
Yeah, man. That's
So
that's the that's the first time I've heard the beat nuts on here, and that's so true. Like, you kind of forget about like the stuff they did was so dope and so different at the time too.
yeah, I mean it still is. Like their stuff always sounds different and just wild. Like where did y'all find that?
Right. That's great. So yo, next question. In your opinion, what is the most overrated beat of all time? Most underrated beat of all time?
Ooh, overrated beat.
We've had Death of Auto Tune. We've had OC said all about the Benjamins. He was just tired of him. That was
Wow.
that was his reason for it. He was like, yo, when that song came out, it was everywhere all summer. Couldn't get away from it. I was just like, turn that shit off.
Dang. Um. Wow. Okay. All right. I'm trying to think of something. Again, there's tons of underrated stuff. Like, I mean, gosh, like all time. Like, does it have to be something that was like a single?
It could be whatever. It could be anything. It doesn't even have to be hip hop to you. It could be pop. It could be whatever.
Oh, okay. Um. I mean, it's a lot of like Hove beats that are just amazing. I love. Dang. You know what beat is crazy that I just heard the other day was what got me into Little Brother and Ninth Wonder and the whole Justice League. I remember the first time I heard "Comfortable" by Median. Have you ever heard that song?
Right.
The Luther Knife
Yeah,
Flip to Luther Vandross joint. I love that record.
that'd be so hard.
Yeah, and that's what made me like. That's what got my attention. Um, and then overrated. You know what? I'm gonna say in that same vein. I'm gonna say "Loving It." Little Brother, I think is an overrated beat.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Any reason for that?
I mean, look, it's not that it's bad. It's just like for some reason that is like that and Threats is like the signature Ninth Wonder joints. And
Right.
like, you know, whenever he throws that on, like the crowd just goes crazy. And like, I don't know, it's a cool beat, but I think he's made stuff that's like that just kills that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, again, like it's not a bad beat. I pretty much love everything that Little Brother's done. But
Just
yeah, like if I was gonna pick like the Ninth Wonder track, it wouldn't be that one. You know?
yeah. I hear you. All right. Dope, man. All right. So, who is? All right. Let's see. All right. Is there a song that comes to your mind? And I guess it still falls under the over under vein. Is there a beat that comes to your mind where you're like, yo, I heard this collaboration was happening, like kind of how like when people heard Hit Boy and Nas was getting together to work on stuff, and it's like, yo, that junk's gonna be dope, but it just didn't hit for you. And then was there one collaboration where it was like, I don't know how that's gonna work, and then you hear it and it's like, oh shit.
Hmm. Um.
Because for me, straight up, when I heard Nas and Kanye West was working on an album together, I was like, oh, this is gonna be bananas. And then I heard it and I was just
Yeah.
like, no.
I mean, I fully agree with you on that. I mean, well, yeah. I mean, Ye was kind of already probably too far gone at that point. I probably didn't even care. But, you know, I like Dre and Eminem haven't made anything dope in like a really long time,
Yeah.
and like that should be like a no brainer.
Yeah.
But they've been like ever since Lose It, they've been trying to make the same song for like the last like 20 years, and like just try something different. Um, and then you know what? I didn't like. I was kind of excited when I heard Rizzo was working on Watch the Throne, and
Mhm.
I didn't particularly rock with any of those joints
Yeah.
that he did. They were just kind of like just kind of boring to me.
Right.
Um, and then ones that I didn't expect. Um, man, an unexpected one that's crazy is Primo and Devin the Dude. Have you ever heard Doobie Ashtray by
Nah,
Devin the Dude?
I didn't get a chance to listen.
Man, I love that record. It's a I think it's from like 90, probably like 98, 99 maybe. But yeah, it's called Doobie Ashtray, and it's some slow like just syrupy like funk and Primo. I don't even think it's a sample, like,
Mm,
but and it's Primo, and that song is amazing.
right.
And
That's
I don't know if I would have necessarily put them together.
right. That's kind of how I felt with like when I first heard Currency and Alchemist was getting together.
That's a good one.
I was like, how's that gonna work? Because all I knew from Currency was, you know, where the cash at. So that's all I heard at that time. And then I heard uh, Full Metal, and I was like, this is different. Like,
I love that. I love that project. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. And what's crazy? I love the record Alchemist did with Migos. It's called. Oh man, but the name's escaping me right now. But it's crazy. It's one of those. He's been doing that series of like one-off singles, the like craft singles or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And yeah, he Jabroni. The name is the name of it. It's called Jabroni.
Oh, I gotta check that. I didn't even know.
It's amazing.
I put me on. I gotta check that.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get out of here, I do this with everybody. This is called fantasy round.
It's called what?
Called fantasy round. So in your perfect world, you're in a studio session. It's your perfect studio session. Who is the rapper? Who's singing on the hook? Who's producing the beat? Who's the engineer? And what label is this coming out on?
Hmm. All right. How long does it normally take people a while to answer this question?
It takes people a little bit. Some people have it like straight off the top, and some people it takes a little bit.
Yeah. And some people say like, "Oh, I want it on my label." Um, no, I mean, of course, I think every hip hop producer, at least of my age, would want something to come out on Def Jam.
Right.
That's just kind of like a badge of honor, and a part of history to be able to do that. That would be really cool. Engineer, I think I'll probably have to go Eddie Sancho, just because Primo is one of the main reasons I'm even doing this, and he was he was a big part of that magic that they had for so long at D&D, which I would have loved to done. Well, actually, technically, I think I do have a record that was recorded at D&D. Well, we'll get into that later. But let's see. So now I got a name: the singer, the rapper, and the producer. I think, man.
And it could be yourself too. Soundtrack definitely said, I'm producing this record.
No, I think I'm gonna play A&R and put this together with some other people.
Okay.
I think I want to have Biggie. They got to be alive.
Nah, dead or alive don't matter.
Yeah, Big doing a record with I mean, can you imagine like a Big and Rihanna record? Like,
wow.
but this is the thing, is Big and Rihanna, but I don't want her singing like pretty. Like I want her doing like something gully, like doing some just nasty patois or something, like real distorted, and like, just saying some foul shit, like the grimiest, shit. Maybe even have her rap instead of sing. But so I have that, and then producing it, I think, who could do that? Who could do that record? I think that'd be a great Salam Remy record.
Oof.
Yeah.
That's dope, man. That is dope.
Yeah, because Salam has that great West Indian influence.
Right.
So you take him, then Rihanna, who same kind of general background, and then Big from Jamaica. So like, put all that energy together, something crazy is gonna come out of that.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. That's a classic right there. Definitely a classic. Right there. That's dope, man.
Salam is crazy underrated too, man.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets the credit, and he's got like just gigantic records, man. Like, he's not just some regular like rap producer. Like, he's done stuff with like Sting and Madonna and the Fugees. Like, God, I mean, unbelievable discography that I think gets overlooked, for sure.
Yeah, his name doesn't come up nearly as much as it should.
Yeah.
All-time greats, and he definitely deserves to be up there. That's real. And that's dope, man. That's a dope lineup. Biggie and Rihanna, Salam Remy, Eddie
Sancho.
Eddie Sancho labeling on engineering, and it comes out on Def Jam. Yeah.
And the video got to be in black and white.
Yeah. Flavor Yeah remix vibes.
Right.
So, yeah, before we get out of here, let's get back to what you were saying before. You say you might have an
yeah. So technically, I think I do, because I always wanted a record to be done at D&D. I think technically I do, because so the record that I did for D.I.T.C with with OC, AG, and Fat Joe. Originally, I think it was recorded like Primo changed D&D to headquarters.
Right.
And at headquarters, he rented out like the B room to Showbiz from D.I.T.C.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I think it was like 2011, 2012. I heard the demo back then, and it was just OC and AG, and I'm pretty sure that's where they recorded it at. And then the reason they ended up doing that D.I.T.C. album is because Fat Joe had All the Way Up, and that blew up. So they decided to put together a project, and they took songs that they had in the stash, and that was one of them. But yeah, as far as I know, that was recorded in headquarters, which is D&D. So at least that's the story I'm sticking to.
Right. That's a piece of history. I think when I first got into like the D.I.T.C. clique, they were getting everything out of D&D studio and going to the new spot. So it was I got there literally like right at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that album when it came out definitely came out around that time. So yeah, I would stick to that story too.
yeah, definitely. And yeah, man, I love that. I told you this on DM, but I love that record you did for OC, the good man.
Appreciate it, man.
Man, dude, like that was the one that really, when I heard that album, it stuck out for me. And like I said, it's on my favorites playlist, so I hear it all the time. Just when I put it on random. But yeah, I really like that record, and that was before I even knew you. So
right, that's what's up, man. Thank you so much for that. And it's so crazy too, because like OC, like we were sitting there like playing beats for him. OC don't really say nothing. He kind of like me, like because when I go to like beat battles or whatever, like I don't really say nothing. I just like kind of observe the room a little bit. And to be honest, that's what he said he noticed about me, because he's kind of the same way. He's not really saying nothing. He's just listening, observing. So it was dope to like really, and I knew nothing about it. So like I wake up one morning and I see my name, like, people sending DMs and people sending stuff. I'm like, what are they? You know what I mean? Like, so, but yeah, that was dope. But yo, J Clyde, thank you so
anybody in the chat got any other questions?
Word. And it's that Mary J, Casey, and yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, yo, Jay, thank you so much, man, for joining and taking the time out to talk to me, to chat. Learned a lot about you, about how you fell in love with music. It was definitely it was dope. Anything you have in the future coming up, to let everybody know what's going on?
I'm always cooking up stuff. Let me see if anything. I'm looking on my whiteboard to see if there's anything I can tell y'all about. I might be throwing together some beat tapes coming up. Yeah. I don't know if I'm kind of working on like a remix project too, but I'm still trying to formulate how I want to present it. Because I don't like to just throw stuff out there. I kind of like, if I put together a project, I want it to be like a concept. I love concept albums,
Right.
and stuff that is actually has some thought put into it. Like I started researching some of these like lo-fi projects that are getting like a lot of play, and like I was kind of shocked, man, because like you go through most of them, and it's like there's nothing to it. Like dudes just like let the beat, loop for like 3 minutes. Like it's like hardly any drops in it. It's like no transitions, there's no other skits or like anything. It's just kind of boring. Like I'm like, oh, this is what they want. Like
Right.
I don't know. So like I was definitely expecting a lot more like effort and thought put into it, but you know, hopefully that'll make me stand out when I put something else out.
Yeah, yeah. A lot. I mean, I think it will because a lot of these people when they drop stuff, it's just here it is. You know, that's it. You know.
Yeah,
Um. So yeah, back to concept music. It's different. You know, it's different. It grabs people. That's like when artists release albums and they have a concept to it. It's so like groundbreaking and different. Like the Kendrick Lamars of the world, the J Cole's of the world. Like when their album come out, it feels different because there's thought behind it. There's you know what I mean. There's intent behind it.
that's why I always love like Cormega is one of my favorite artists, and you know, like he would never claim to be like the greatest MC of all time, but I love what he does. But what I respect most about him is that he like takes his time and like he makes his music for the fans, and like he makes sure that every project he really puts thought into it and makes it as high quality as he can for the people that are paying for his music.
So, definitely, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, like I said, thank you, man, for taking the time out and chatting it up with me. Definitely got into some dope conversation, dope fantasy round. Probably one of the dopest we've had since the start. Um, a very interesting over under, you know, and the reasons given were perfect. I completely agree. Yeah, we definitely got to have you back on and for a part two because you know you were DJing before, and I think that's a big part of production, especially considering, like I said before, like all the dopest producers were DJs first. So I definitely want to have you back on again if you're willing to do that, just to discuss more in depth about the DJing side of everything you've done. Um, but yeah, man, thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate it.
Man, you're welcome, man. Thanks for having me. I'll come back anytime, man. Just let me know. I'm here. So, and you know, eventually, I mean, you're right up the road, so hopefully, you know, eventually we'll be able to actually meet in person. I'm up in, you know, when the time is right, I'm up in Richmond all the time because my sister's up there with her kids. So, and I got a lot of, you know, I work with a lot of Richmond artists, and I'm gonna try and get you plugged in with all those dudes. So, yeah, man, definitely.
Well, I definitely appreciate that, man, because ever since I got there, I was like, yeah, I gotta find the music scene here. I gotta find, you know, I got connected with Name Brand, but you know that's been pretty much it so far. So I know there's definitely more.
Nah, you got with the right one. You got with the right one. Just make sure you you know, get in the studio with him and his brother Mike Millions, and they'll, you know, that's who I was going to connect you with anyway. But the 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 a lot of the best of the Richmond music scene converges at that guy's studio, and it's a great experience to be around there, for sure. That's where I go every time.
Dope, and
Yeah, man.
yeah, well, yo, everybody, thank you so much. This has been episode 9 of Soul Chat with VA's own Loopa Doncic, J Clyde. It's not over yet. It's definitely not over yet. Overlord Radio should be starting. If it's not started already, it's starting soon. So, you know, guys can tune into Overlord Radio and hear some dope beats. Maybe you might even hear a J Clyde beat. You know, who knows? So you gotta check it to find out. I'm actually on my way over there right now. So, so definitely, man. Thank you for joining us. Thank everybody. Everybody, thank you for joining us. And until next week, man. We out.
Peace, y'all.
Peace.